Hi, Professor. I want to start my video by talking about the concept of governmentality by Michael Foucault, which was talked about in the video. So, in this concept, he talks about the relation of government with its people. So, he basically classified this relation of power into three categories, which are sovereign power, disciplinary power, and governmentality. The sovereign power uh, is means full power in the hands of an individual, where he does not need to answer anyone, like for example a king or a dictator, for example the dictator of North Korea. So in this sovereign power, the person has the full authority to do anything, make any law, or make anything crime or legal. The second one is disciplinary power, which is very common in modern day world. So disciplinary power is something which is exercised with the help of representatives, like representatives of government, which we elect in the form of MLAs or MPs. These people represent the power. They make the laws for people, and people have to follow these laws. In this second part, he also talks about the concept of power knowledge, which means that knowledge is power is in the hands of the people who share the knowledge, or institutions who share the knowledge, for example schools. So it's in the hands of schools to teach students in the next generation. So schools have the power to change their mentality. They can educate students to become a good citizen of the society, or they can educate students to do crimes. So power is totally in the hands of institutions who share knowledge or deliver knowledge. The third concept is governmentality. So governmentality talks about the individual power, or the power of people to govern themselves. So it means that people should have their own responsibilities to be a good citizen of the society. And it it focuses more on the power of people rather than a centralized government. uh, so the next I want to talk about the critical criminology. So critical criminology is different from other criminological theories, because critical criminology talks about the inequalities in society and how they lead to crime, and how people from lower castes or classes uh, are convicted more of a crime rather than the upper classes or rich people. The other theories generally talk about how society makes people do crimes, but this theory talks about how uh, capitalism is making people do crime, and the laws are in favor of the rich people or the upper class people. This theory is mainly based on the Karl Marx theories. So Marx was a communist, and he brought the idea of communism to the society, in which uh, everyone would have equal resources and the wealth would be well distributed. He was very against the idea of capitalism, of someone owning very much wealth, and someone being very poor. He was very against that idea, and he thought that the capitalists have power to make laws, and they make laws in favor of themselves, and they also need control over people using social institutions like schools or media, so that they can keep working for them. So what he meant was that capitalists influence schools or media in such a way that the people who consume this media are always are not uh, are not going up in society, and they remain in the working class, and they can work for capitalists. The next theory is about feminist criminology. So feminist criminology mainly talks about gender inequality in modern world, and how it occurs in crime. It has basically three main perspectives, which are liberal, radical, and intersectionality. It it is also against old theories, because most of these theories either do not consider the gender differences, or do not do not consider the do not consider the value of women, uh, and how women can be how women are more vulnerable in modern day society. It usually critiques the theories such as social bond theory or the misogynistic theory by Cesar Lombroso, in which they said that women are less developed than men. The main theories of the main concerns of feminists at that time were that uh, the women are viewed negatively in criminology, and they ignore gender differences. So the laws usually give same punishment to men and women for doing something which should have been different, because men are usually more physically powerful and tolerant as compared to women. So they wanted that law should be made by considering the differences between women and men. It They also talked about the crimes that led to the formation of feminist criminology. So, for example, in old societies, there were crimes against women such as domestic violence or unequal treatment of women in criminal justice system. So, if a woman filed a case against a man, it was most likely that the man would win the case, because the criminal justice system favored men in patriarchal society. The next thing which this they wanted to address was intersectionality. So intersectionality basically means that when someone is uh, facing discrimination because one or more than one causes. For example, in women's case, women are usually discriminated based on their gender, but intersectionality also considers other things which can make them which can cause discrimination. For example, if a woman belongs to a different race, for example the black race, sorry professor, or if the woman belongs to indigenous society, so the woman will face basically two different reasons for discrimination, and she will face more discrimination. It can also occur because she is belonging to other minority communities like LGBTQ. The next thing it talks about is the sexual crimes which occur more in the cases of women. So women are usually targeted for sexual crimes because they are more vulnerable and they are not physically powerful enough to defend themselves. So women are more likely to be harassed in the society, and they are also more likely to be assaulted in the society. The next thing which this theory talks about, or the next chapter talks about, uh, sorry professor, let me remind. So the next thing which it talks about how the shift between patriarchal society and modern day society caused women to do more crimes. So for example, in patriarchal society, women usually remained at home and they were not exposed to the outside world. So they did not have much of a deviant behavior. But when the modern society came, women started going to work, and they started going outside. And when they did that, they also became equally capable of doing crimes, and they started doing crimes. And it was also revealed that women who faced trauma in their childhood were more likely to do crimes, because they because of their psychology and mentality. uh, the other thing is that women are more likely to do less violent crimes or white collar crimes such as fraud. uh, like they are less likely to do crimes such as homicides or assault, which are which is different in men's cases. The last theory which I want to talk about is cultural criminology. So cultural criminology is basically based on sociological theories such as Chicago School of Sociology. It talks about uh, how culture can influence someone to do crime. For example, the Chicago School of Sociology talks about how the society around the person, for example, when someone arrives in a poor neighborhood, does not have money, he or she is more likely to do crimes to escape poverty. The other thing which it talks about is immediate emotions. So a person can also do crimes based on something that happens immediately. For example, if a person is feeling very bad or sad, he can do crime. If a person is feeling bored, he can do vandalism, maybe, to get some excitement. And this is different from other criminological theories, because they think that uh, a person doing a crime is a result of a very long psychological or sociological influence. And the last thing which this theory talks about is how a crime can become a source of entertainment or pleasure. For example, in criminal TV shows, where they show how a crime is committed, or it also talks about an example where a person took his children to show them how the criminals are prosecuted. So basically, people are finding pleasure in watching criminals getting uh, prosecuted, and watching the criminal cases. So that's all. Thank you, Professor.